Hey guys, Mr. Steckler here. So this is all about alignment, which is one of the design theory elements. And alignment is all about not necessarily straight lines, but on lining up information so that it flows. So let's take a look at what I mean. So on this slide over here, you can see that my word alignment over here, if I tap both text boxes, you can see that on the left-hand side, they line up perfectly. So if I were to draw a line straight down over here, you can see that there's a nice clean line where this part of the information over here flows with the title over here, where it's a nice straight line. There's also a nice line that separates the title from the information down below. So if I were to mess this up for a second and I were to tap on the text box over here and I were to go to the alignment and I were to go to, let's say, center the information, this slide is not going to look as clean as the last slide, because when you have alignment, you need that straight line to make that information really flow. And choosing an alignment to help make your information flow is important to make your presentation seem professional. It would look weird if every slide had a different alignment. So to keep that alignment nice, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you consider what you're doing from slide to slide to slide. So over here, and you'll notice over here, there's a bunch of different alignments. There's right, left, center, and justify, which makes it so that all of your text gets evenly distributed so that on both the left side and the right side, it lines up. But sometimes it just looks terrible where the word like randomly over here got spread out so that it all ended at the same spots. Whereas other times, it looks really, really nice. If I were to justify it, you can see this slide's been justified where it ends over here on the left and right side. Ooh, what a line that is. That, like, it lines up in a perfect straight line over here. So the final thing that I want to talk about for alignment is that from slide to slide to slide, to keep that alignment happening, what I tend to like to do is I like to right click or just tap and duplicate. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in and I will manually change the font. So like if this slide was then on repetition, I would type repetition and then I'd click down here and I would delete this. And this is keeping the position of the text boxes in the exact same spot, but now I can change the message so that it looks different. So I always tap and duplicate in order to keep it so that you have that alignment in the same spot where the text boxes are going to line up with each other. So that is the element of, or the design theory element of alignment. And if you have any questions, please let me know. One more thing, guys. So about alignment, I'm going to use YouTube right now to kind of give you guys a nice example of how this is used. So if you take a look at YouTube, a lot of their thumbnails often use alignment to make it look nice and clean. So if you look at this video over here of how to be fearless under pressure, the word start doing this doesn't necessarily all line up to make a nice even space. But what does happen is you can take a look that off to the left-hand side, that this little mark over here is currently being used to make that line exist off to the left over here. So you can like use a dash to make everything line up, or you can use a text box to do so to make those nice clean lines. And often people even use that for a title where they'll have like dashes or a double dash or something off to the side to make it perfectly line up with the rest of the information. So that's another way that you can use alignment in making your information flow. So one final example of alignment is on Apple's website. You notice over here, iPhone 11 Pro is in the center of the screen, and down below, iPhone 11, center of the screen, iPad Pro, center of the screen. So you can see they're repeating this design elements to align, not necessarily in a straight line, but to kind of align the titles in the same exact spot. You don't necessarily have to have it all, in a perfect box. But if you were to design that to look like that, you could theoretically, as I mentioned before, use those kind of hyphens where you made everything extends to the same part, and This particular alignment that I just added, I don't necessarily think that I did a better job than Apple, but you kind of create this mathematical shape with your information, and maybe that's something that people like better. Design is a wicked problem, so there's no best way to design anything, but you at least have the ability to use these dashes to create, different levels of alignment. Or maybe you wanted to make something black, bad color, extend over here and extend over here. Like, it's not necessarily you have to always do it, but you have the ability to use these colors to make it nice and aligned. So just wanted to give you one last example.